episode number 19. Dissolve your creative doubt. Hi, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in. This podcast is for an artist, a creative who still doubts herself or himself. So, if this is you, maybe you are writing, creating visual art, painting, or digital art. Maybe you are simply showing up in front of camera and speaking from your heart. You are creating. But you are creating something out of nothing. You are creating and you are putting your signature on it. So, the idea here on this podcast is to stop throwing obstacles underneath your feet and start using that energy you lost on self doubt to actually create. I know it's easier said than done, but hopefully not after this podcast. Because today I'm going to talk to you about the value of creativity for you and for other people, what to do with the bad pages, what to do with the shame after you publish the bad pages. You realize that I'm talking about the worst that can happen, right? And also hoarding ideas. I had that vision that when you have inspiration, you have ideas, but you are not sharing them, then it creates a hoarding situation. When you are hoarding the ideas, it creates this clog in that pipeline that supplies information and inspiration. First, let's talk about the value of your creativity, the value of your self expression. The value, what is the value for you? What is the value for the outside world? First of all, I want to say it's not about money. It's not about how to price your creativity. When we talk about money too soon, it complicates things. First, we have to talk about the authentic creativity and not about what to create in order to get most money out of it. So I will leave the discussion about money to other people. I will just focus on that spiritual, that inspirational aspect of it, and that psychological, emotional aspect of creativity that we sometimes struggle with. And how is it, by the way? How is it that some people are creating crap and they are proud of it? And maybe you are creating pretty good art, but you are still doubting yourself. Well, when we create, we not only have some resistance from those physical materials or from technology, we have to learn the physical materials and the technology in order to create something with satisfaction. On top of that, some people also have more self doubt than others. After I looked at the human design, I saw that there are specific gates, gene keys that make some people, when they have them in their astro chart, make some people more doubtful, feeling inadequate, questioning themselves, judging themselves. So I would wonder if you struggle with self doubt, what is your human design? So, first, let's talk about the value for you. This is the value of your self expression. If you are not creating, but you have this inner push to create, what happens? You are not living your authentic life. Kandinsky talked about the inner necessity. Even though I read the book 30 years ago, I still remember because it resonated with me so much. You have that inner necessity to create, and it is not to be messed with. Actually, even the science of mind talks about, and A Course in Miracles talk about the spirit as being the creative force. The spirit is creating through you. You can never stop your creativity. You can suppress it, but you cannot stop it. We all know what happens when we suppress feelings, when we suppress what we're supposed to be doing because this is our purpose. We have plenty of psychosomatic symptoms that we start curing with medicine, but often it would be enough to simply live authentically and listen to your inner creative voice. If you are already creating, you have to keep going because you are in the process of evolving yourself, evolving your skills through your medium. So the first point is, if you have the need to create, if you have that inner necessity to create, create. And if you want to become a master at something, maybe not even a master, if you want to be really good and proficient at something, then you have to go through those beginner stages. You have to allow yourself to be bad at something. You have to have that beginner's mind that is open to experimentation and have patience with yourself to get to the level of proficiency, to feel competent at something, and on to the level of mastery, whatever it means for you. But the beginner stage means also that you can play. You can play more like a child with this medium. So let go of expectation and create for yourself period of time when you can simply play with this medium. Be more free in what you are creating. Which brings me to the topic of bad paintings, bad artwork. Just recently, when I came back to my art, one of the first paintings that I created was bad, and big epiphany. I made this bad painting, and I love it. I shared with one of my friends, "Hey, I made this painting and I like it and I don't understand it." And he said, "You know what? That's actually good. Keep on making bad art." We can bring freedom into our creative work, even in the beginning, even if we are still learning. Are we meant to make only good paintings? Are we meant to write only good pages? Maybe that would be an unreasonable expectation. So, part of letting go of self doubt is to be okay with the bad paintings and bad pages. And Eric Meisel, who is a creativity coach, wrote, "To create, we have to take the bad with the good. We are bound to write bad paragraphs along with good ones. That's the eternal law. We can get rid of those bad paragraphs later on, but first we must write them. We can get rid of the bad paragraphs later on, but first we must write them. Otherwise, we won't write anything at all. If we try to write only good paragraphs, we are 3/4 of the way towards paralysis." The name that we have coined for this problem is perfectionism. How wonderful can our writing be if it's tied to the idea that only gems must emerge from our pen? That was quote from Eric Meisel. How wonderful and how horrible the experience of writing or creating must be if we only expect to create something good. We are meant to write the bad pages, bad paragraphs, create bad paintings. Maybe that will release a little bit of that self-doubt that you have, because you know that it's the law. You have to create a little bit of bad in order to be able to create a lot of good. But going back to shame, sometimes you create something bad and you feel the shame. And I actually felt enormous shame after I read my blog that I wrote from 2013, 2015, maybe 2012, because this is when I started and I didn't have Grammarly at that point. I didn't have somebody to check every single sentence I was writing, but I was still writing. And now, years later, I'm going back to those old blog posts, and I see the problem with my language, the problem with my expression. Very often, I don't even know what the heck I wanted to say. And I had about 3,000 visitors a month. And And there's this huge shame. So, what do we do with it? I survived. I'm still alive. So, the biggest pain came from my own mind being ashamed. I realized last week something profound, ground shaking, that even if shame is one of the most painful emotions that everybody wants to avoid at all costs, it would be more painful for me at that time not to write. I would rather feel the pain of shame than hoard my ideas, than squish my inspiration. What about you? Do you also feel that you have enough of keeping your inspiration to yourself? It would be very healthy for you to express it. Now, let's talk about that clogged pipeline of inspiration. When the ideas are flowing, where are they flowing from? From the spirit? From your soul? Well, they are flowing from somewhere and they are landing in your mind. And when you are keeping those ideas to yourself, this is an equivalent of having a house where you are not letting anything go. You are just collecting a lot of things, but there is no room, no space, no fresh air. So, how do you feel? Do you feel like this pipeline of inspiration is getting clogged because you are not putting those ideas out there in any creative form? Do you doubt the ideas? Do you judge the ideas for not being big enough or good enough? I think this is how it works. You have to put the ideas somehow in the world so new ideas can come to you. Maybe the universe is asking, it doesn't want to see if you are going to create this idea, if you are going to put this idea into action, into art form, so that I can give you more ideas. Are you waiting for the big idea and dismissing the small projects, small ideas? What if the small ideas have to be created in order for next thing to happen? Sometimes we hold the ideas because it's not because of procrastination, but because there is this maturation process that has to happen in the mind, especially if this is idea to create something that takes a lot of material objects, financial investment, then yes, of course, you want to hold this idea longer in your mind and work on it while it's still in this concept and not necessarily in the material form. Not all procrastination is bad. Sometimes you feel that you are waiting for something. More information comes to you, and then you are ready to make it happen. Sometimes you simply don't have the time to put all the ideas into action to create art based on all the ideas. As long as you are doing something, you will unclog that pipe of creative expression without calling a plumber, and new ideas will be coming to you because you are creating something. Finally, you are doing it for your self-esteem. I started this video from talking about squishing your creativity, squishing your natural expression of who you are. Did I say it or not? I don't remember. But another part of that is this is for your mental health. You have to create to feel good about yourself. It is good for your self-esteem, even if you are creating bad pages. Was there something on this podcast that you heard that you resonate with? If I listened to it for the first time, I think the biggest one would be the one about shame and the thought about creating bad pages. Now, when it comes to value of your creativity for other people, this is a big subject. You have limited control over how people will react to your creativity, and there's so much that goes into this. But The best part is that sometimes, even if you will think that you have created something pretty good, there will be somebody who will make this even better in their eyes. For them, it's going to be even better. Recently, I shared one of my drawings, and somebody said, "Your art is so delightful. It helps me be in this comfortable state of being. Your art allows God to pull me in." I would never say anything like this about my drawings, ever. That would be even wrong. But if somebody can look at my art and say something like this and feel this way, this is a gift. We cannot foresee how people will receive it. Thank you so much for listening. If you have thoughts about it, go to my Instagram, to Positively Rebellious Coaching, and let me know your thoughts about this topic. And if you want coaching about your creative doubts on your creative journey, go to positivelyrebellious.com, sign up for a free call, and let's talk. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful week.